Okay, hello everybody. So we just asked people to share testimonies. So I've grown up in Hillside. So my parents had been at Hillside for about 6 months maybe when they fell pregnant with me. And during the pregnancy, they found out that I had something called congenital cystic adenomatoid malformation of the lungs, which basically just means that instead of air sacs, my lungs were producing cysts. So the church came together and started to pray for me, and it was just amazing how the church came together, and actually just from the get-go, from the womb, the church had been part of my life. So every time the church would come together and pray, the cysts would stop growing and they would actually shrink, which was just an absolute miracle. The doctors didn't understand it, but actually God understood it because he's far beyond things of the world. Just actually so amazing how the church came together from that moment, and actually that's why I'm here today. Just from the get-go, the church has been there in my life and so ever present. And it was a tough time emotionally for my parents, but the church were there supporting them every step of the way. And honestly, just the power of prayer is amazing, guys. So I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for prayers. So anyway, that's just right from the get-go. So, then I ended up having surgery and having part of that lung removed. And the church has just been there every step of the way just for support and encouragement. So I have grown up in the church from the get-go, from the womb, being a part of Hillside. So I've been through the kidsmen, I've been through youth, I've been through young adults, I've been not in leadership, I've been in leadership, and it's just been amazing watching the church grow. And church has really become family. And sometimes family is a little bit messy and we don't always get it right. But let me tell you, family loves, and family loves deep. And it's just been amazing watching people come together and rally around each other in those times of struggle. So there have people that have been through heartache and devastation, and it's been amazing watching the church just open their wide arms and actually just support them through it, whether it's a meal, whether it's a prayer, whether it's a word, whether it's just being there for the person. And then there's also been times of great celebration. We've had weddings, we've just had, just incredible things. And actually the church is there to celebrate those things too. So it's been amazing watching church be family. And I've seen people that have stepped in as grandparents for children that didn't have grandparents. They've been to Grandparents' Day. I've seen people look after children if the parents are going away, like being a babysitter, or just seeing people become aunts and uncles and actually just become family. So it's just been amazing, and watching how over the years the church has grown and changed, and just amazing. And family doesn't always look perfect, but family is family and family is love. So it's been amazing going through Hillside.
Yay. So I think we should give her a preaching slot, eh? Right, we have the Stradums, Brad and Sherry.
Morning, everyone. Sorry, I need notes. I'm not like Paige. Although I probably won't stick to them. So this is my beautiful wife, Sherry, and my beautiful son, Levi. There we go. Even better without the mask. If I look across the auditorium here, I'm sure you all know who I am. But if you don't, I've been at Hillside since I was 13. Any 13-year-olds here? Okay, I joined Hillside at your age. And so I've seen a lot of people come and go. And it's good to see some faces here that I haven't seen in a while, but also the new faces. And I think we celebrate the new and the old today. And so there are a few things when I think of Hillside, and I've sown a lot into this church. Our family has sown a lot into this church, even my extended family. And it's good to have my brother here as well with his family. And but to me, my family have been overseas for quite a while now. And so family took on a different meaning in terms of this church over the years that I've been here. I've had fathers who I've really grown to love. I've got mothers in the house, brothers and sisters in this house. And I'd just like to thank you for your support. And so over those years, I've also, we've adopted Levi. We've gone through that season here. I think adoption has grown in this church. It's become a part of our DNA, which is also a special thing because it's a spiritual sign in the physical way. And so if you're looking to adopt in this season, go for it because it's the greatest thing. and we have the beautiful results of it with us right now. And then we've received many blessings through this church, both financially and spiritually. The amount of preachers I've heard here, I've got books and books of notes, but it's here and it's here. Hillside's in me, but it's not about Hillside, it's about the kingdom. And so I've received a lot of the kingdom from this church too. And then the biggest thing is worship. So I started when I was 14. Sorry, I'm getting most of it. So worship has become who I am. I've written songs through this church. I've sung so many. I've traveled representing this church into the nations. And I know there's more. And there's more for me. And it's just been a wonderful blessing being a part of just using my calling and the anointing of God in my life in this church. It started in a hall that I went to school in, Hillside High. And even lugging sound gear around wasn't the greatest, but we had to do it. And that forged a culture of worship, which I hope to continue till I die. It may not be in this church, but it will be in the nations. And I want you guys to be a part of that, because you are a part of it. You're a part of every song we sing that's been written in this church. And you're a part of every worship moment that we have in this church. Whether you take it to your churches that you are now, or whether you keep it here in Hillside, it's part of me and it's part of who we are. Thank you.
Okay, so I joined Hillside 19 years ago. I won't say how old I was, because then you'll know how old I am now. But I'm just going to share one particular amazing story of community here. So obviously, Brad and I were struggling to fall pregnant. And then, amazingly, it was God's plan. We started the adoption process, and we said, whichever comes first, we'll go with. We'll just trust God. And then we got Levi, which was amazing, and we're so happy we did. But a friend of ours, the Holdens, Bronwyn Holden, I want to say her name because I want to honor her. She sent me a message and said, we would like to, in faith, raise money with a couple of friends for you to go to get fertility done, if you would like that. And we had been praying, and we said to God, look, we don't have the money. It's so expensive. The first consultation is $3,500. So if you want that to happen, you've got to provide the finances. And so anyway, a couple of friends put money together, and they raised $15,000 for us. And so we went, and we discovered that I had a growth. And I would never have discovered that growth if I hadn't gone and they hadn't raised the money for us. So I was able to get the operation and take the growth out. It was sorted. There wasn't cancer or anything. But the doctor said it was so big. He couldn't believe how big it was. And so, we caught it in time. So, that's just community, like being there for us and being obedient. And, pretty much saved me. So, it's an awesome story.
Thank you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the Silver Fox, Patrick Smith.
Yeah, Raj, I got the mic now, bro. I had something really good to say about you, but let's go on. Yeah, what a privilege, eh? Like you're getting older when I hope you noticed that, like how the age has increased with whoever held this mic before me. And when you get told to give the history of the church and you can remember it. Thanks, Raj. So, we arrived here about, last millennium, so it was 1,000 years ago. I think it was about 98, thereabouts. When did you get here, Raj? About that time. We got here about a similar time. We started out at the old Hillcrest High School, and we were looking for a church in the area, and we visited Hillside. We'd visited elsewhere. And I walked through the door, and we got met by Des Seego and Derek Potgieter, and I'll throw out a few old names, just because I can. And it was amazing. They were so warm in their welcoming of us. We got a hug. We got invited for lunch, and I don't know what not, you know. And we just arrived. And that is very much part of the DNA of what Hillside has been about. This warmth, this community, and that's never changed. Not long after we were sort of part of the, once we joined and what have you, Richard at that stage decided that, oh, by the way, we arrived for Terry's very last service. So somewhere there was a photo. They stood on the top of the Hillcrest part of the building somewhere, and they took a photo of the church, and we were part of it. So somewhere there's a photograph. I don't know if it's still around. Anyway, not long after that, they decided that it was time for us to consider building our own church, our own building, and Richard brought me around. He knew I was an architect, and he said, "Should we buy this piece of land, and what should we do?" And at this stage, this was out in the sugarcane here. You know, there was really nothing going on. There was the domain didn't exist. There was no Cotswold Downs, no watercress, nothing. There were cattle literally grazing outside here, and we collectively, not just myself and obviously Richard, I thought it was a good idea because architects always want to design things. We decided to acquire the land. When I say we, I mean the church. And it was interesting. And I just want to talk a little bit about that process, because what happened was, and Roger, I think you were part of that building team as well at that stage, because Roger was the building contractor. He had a company called Eternity, which I thought was a fantastic name for a building contracting firm. And I do actually want to honor Rog. You know, it's easy to be somebody on Sunday. We all look good on Sunday, you know. But when you work with people during the week in their work context, you get to find out who they really are, particularly when there's money involved and what have you. And, you know, building sites can be quite difficult places. And I got to work with Rog on quite a few building projects, including this one. And I want to tell you that Roger is a man of integrity in business. And Tan, the two of you have been an incredible example to me, and I think to many of us, just in how you've conducted your lives, not just on a Sunday, but every day in the work context. And, I'd walk onto a building site, and Rog would say, "Pat, I just want to show you this. This is... I'm not happy about this, and we're going to sort it out, and we're going to change that." Whereas, usually the building contractor will sort of steer you away so that you don't notice those little gremlins. And that's a true story. When we were getting briefed to build this building, I remember we were trying to discuss, to determine my first question was, so how many people must we accommodate? And they couldn't answer the question. So I said, well, it's hard to design something if you don't know how big to make it, you know. And I said, because there's two ways we can go conceptually from an architectural point of view. You can either tailor make this building around a bunch of needs, maybe acoustics, whatever, like a whole bunch of sort of technical requirements. And I said, alternatively, you can design effectively a system, something that you can add on to, and it can sort of morph as you need it to. Anyway, we had guys like Alan Frau in the church at the time, and of course he was a muser, and he wanted like the Royal Albert Hall, you know. He wanted something really, really special from an acoustic point of view, from a performance point of view. Anyway, so we vacillated. Eventually they decided how big to make it, and also that they wanted something tailor-made, all right, which is what we did. I took a week's leave because I was working for a different company, designed the place, and everyone loved it. It was all cool. And just about a couple of weeks after that, Richard phones me and he says, "Pat, I think we must go with the other concept." And this is interesting because so I redesigned the whole thing, and we came up with this concept that we have for Hillside. And effectively, it's a grid structure. I won't go into the techniques of it, but that wall, for example, is completely non-load bearing. You can take that away, and the roof should still stand here. The idea is that this building could morph, it could change, and the idea was that, and it's got a flat floor, it's got a garage door there, so you can drive when you had vehicles in here, and the whole idea was to make something that was completely adaptable and could grow with the church's requirements. And that's interesting because as people, that's who we are. We're growing all the time. We're never the finished article. And as a church, this church, right from this concept, from a design point of view, was about facilitating community and about family. And that is what Hillside has been about. And it's, it served its purpose, but it's from that point of view, but really it's been a community. And I think that's really what I just want to just mention briefly, and I'll be quick, Roger, I won't be too long, steal your thunder. So just some of the memories that I have here. And firstly, we just need to remember some of the, sometimes there's sad times as well, but that's part of our history. I remember when I first came here, I joined a home group with a guy called Garth Roderick was my home group leader, and he was dying of cancer. And I played guitar with him on the one week, and the next week he'd passed away. And his wife said, listen, she wants to have home group anyway. And so I played by myself, and it was an incredible thing. So I remember Garth. Then I was part of the choir, and we were led by a guy called Ian Dunsmore. His wife Cindy was here last weekend, and Ian was a close friend, and he passed away very sadly. So we remember Ian today. Then another home group leader. I was a home group leader at the time, and there was someone called Richard Langefeld. He was very faithful on the sound desk. And shame, and Rich passed away, and we lost another friend. And then, of course, more recently, another close friend of mine was Frank Holden. I was part of his home group, and he passed away last week. So it's last year. So there's life in the church. There's new births, but people go on to be with the Lord, and that is the process of life. And it's sad at the time, but our hope is in God, and it's not ultimately it's a joy. Right, we've seen, and then but there's been lots of amazing times. I think of things like the church camps. I remember taking all the musos up to the farm once. We had a really, really cool time. Some of the guys will remember that. I'm a farmer's son. I grew up in the Midlands, and we went up and had a really cool weekend there. I think probably the most standout speaker that I've ever experienced in this building is Todd White. Who remembers Todd White? Hey? Yeah, what an epic week that was. Absolutely amazing. We've experienced incredible training times, Bible studies. I think under the sort of teaching of Richard, I learned amazing things. He was just the most incredible teacher, and I need to honor Rich in his absence. I've been privileged to be a part of the worship band with Brad, and played with some amazing musicians, and it's been such a privilege for me. And I think Hillside has always been blessed, and there's been prophecies that we would be blessed with worship, and I think it's something that we can be very thankful for as a church. There's always just been a supply of amazing musos, and that's been cool. We've had wonderful social times. We've had Notes in the Vault. We've had barn dances, and just many, many fun times. Today's another one of those days. We've had incredible answers to prayer. I think Paige spoke about the answer to prayer before she was born, and I remember being part of that prayer meeting when we cried out to the Lord and asked God, and Paige's life was spared. A few years later, my son Jesse got Crohn's disease, and when he was in grade 10, we had to take him out of school. He was dying, to be frank. The specialist called us in, Wendy and myself, and just said, look, they're doing everything they can, but they're trying whatever they can, but basically he's dying. Didn't say exactly those words because they never quite do, but that was the implication. We had prayer meetings here specifically for Jess, and And today he's an active part of this church. You know, he's still around. I mean, God is good. Yeah, I remember fasting for 5 days. Remember that? That was a goodie. Anyway, but I just want to say that, you know, I look at the church today, and I know we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot with COVID, a lot with the change in leadership over the last couple of years. But, you know, there's such a life and energy that is evident today that I think I've never experienced before. And there's an anticipation, and we're in a good time, guys. And I think let's take it, let's run with it, and let's run into everything that God has for us. All right. Cheers, Raj.